voice of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. It's the George Plaster Show, featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famers Kelly Holcomb and young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in and happy 2025. It's hard to believe, but we're here. Happy New Year. Hope all of you have had a great holiday season. Let's check in with Billy Derrick, who was in New Orleans for the Sugar Bowl. Billy, first of all, congratulations on Notre Dame. Secondly, after we do the Titans update, I'm going to want to hear all of what you saw in New Orleans.
Yeah, it was incredible. It was probably one of the better sporting experiences of my life, especially growing up a Notre Dame fan. But seeing the atmosphere, it was different. You know, it wasn't the same type of buzz. It was still exciting, but really, really cool to see that and to see Notre Dame get their biggest win in a long, long time.
Okay, hold on to all of that. Kelly Holcomb will rejoin us on Monday. By the way, we'll open the phone lines right at 4:20 because we know a lot of you have things you want to talk about. Let's do our daily Titans update that we do every day during football season. Not many more of them to happen. If Terry continues to wear that there might not be any more.
Today was the last day of practice, George, so there you go.
Yeah, it's
celebrating by wearing my Yankee hat for you.
The Hindenburg is almost over. What's going on?
Oh, well, not surprisingly, they're going back to Will Levis to start the game on Sunday, but Callahan also says that Mason Rudolph will see some action. It's kind of tricky the way he kind of worded it. He said both guys are going to play, but he wants to see Levis play, and if he plays well, he'll stick with him for the most part. So that's kind of interesting to me, just how that's going to play out over the course of 4 quarters.
Terry, it makes no sense.
Well, I think,
what's the point?
If you're going to go with Levis, go with Levis.
Yeah, this is the kind of decision that has people scratching their head about Callahan, but also it makes you wonder, is this an owner-induced decision?
I don't think it's an owner-induced decision. Because, I get, that, he maybe he just wants to, give a tip of the cap to Mason Rudolph for coming in here and as a free agent and helping out this season, even though it's not gone the way they had hoped. It is one last chance for them to look at Levis to see if he's learned anything in his 2 weeks on the bench, and if he at all in any way, shape, or form figures into their plans for next year as a starter or a backup. I think, if he goes out and plays well and ends the season on a good note, I could see a scenario where he competes with somebody to try and be the starter next year. If it doesn't go well, then my guess is they may try to move on from him altogether.
So, best as you can tell, when would we know their final decision about Will Levis for next year?
Well, there'll be 2 indicators. One will be draft time, because in the time leading up to the draft, if you're going to move him, you'd want to move him for draft picks. So, in the days of leading up to the draft and during the draft, you'd obviously, put some feelers out there, see if somebody would bite, and, see if you get a draft pick this year that you could use in return. Otherwise, then he goes all the way into training camp, and he's in a situation like Malik Willis where you showcase him in preseason and, you move him that way for a pick for next year. And if he plays well enough, you keep him on the roster. And if he plays extremely well and he shows you he's learned some things, then depending on who your guy is that you brought in to compete with him, who knows? Maybe he's your starter. But I think that's probably the least realistic of the scenarios. But I'm not going to say that it can't happen because Callahan has admitted on multiple occasions that Levis has a lot of talent and he feels like that at some point he could be a good quarterback. So who knows if he? I think a lot of this, George, is you can look at it this way. If Callahan and Rand Carthon, if they have the assurances that they're going to, get to see this thing through for 2 or 3 years, then, if they like Levis, they can, ride with him, or they can draft a quarterback in the draft and develop him. If they feel like the seat's getting warm, then they're probably going to have to go sign a bridge quarterback to get them, from 3 to 4 wins to 7 to 8 wins so that the seat won't be hot going into 2026.
So is your gut feeling that both Carthon and Callahan will be safe for next year?
I think so, but the question will be, how hot will the seat be? Will they get any assurances from Amy Adams Strunk that they're going to get to see this thing out? And I think you'll know that, George, by the moves that they make in the offseason, specifically at the quarterback position. If they bring in somebody that is a clear-cut starter as a bridge quarterback over Levis or over a draft pick, then you'll know that the seat's warm. If they draft somebody or they bring in a guy that just competes with Levis on equal footing, if they keep Levis, then you'll know that the plan is for them to be here long term and they're going to get a chance to see this through. Does that
Terry,
make sense?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know that much of anything makes sense about this season, but let me really confuse it. If I threw out the name Aaron Rodgers, would you be 100% certain that the Titans have no interest in him?
They shouldn't, unless they are desperate to, and they're going to be on the hottest seats in the league next year, because Rodgers is the type of guy, from what we've seen from him, he's not going to, starting level quarterback behind him, whether it's Levis or a rookie draft pick. Is he going to mentor Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward? Probably not. Is he going to take this thing and make it a circus and make it about him? Probably
Yes.
so. So my guess would be they would steer very clear of Aaron Rodgers unless they're desperate.
Okay, anything else we need to get to?
Well, there are like 7 guys who won't play on Sunday, including Nick Folk, who will miss his 3rd straight game with an abdomen injury. Tajay Spears is out. Monty Hooker, Otis Reese, Tyler Boyd, Jalen Duncan, Arden Key are also out.
They're the lucky ones.
There you go.
Terry, thank you as always. I guess we'll do one of these Monday. And then, as you remember, we're going to have a big State of the Union come Wednesday.
State of the Union.
State of the Union, always a pleasant time.
Yes, George. By the way, the State of the Union here would be Tennessee.
You're absolutely right. It took me a minute to think through where you were going. Get rid of that hat. Happy 2025.
Happy 2025.
Talk to you.
See ya.
Okay, Billy, I know that at the moment we would be scheduled to do an update. However, if you're still there you are. Kind of give me a couple of minutes of what you saw while you were in New Orleans. I'm not talking about the game. I'm talking about all of the stuff that was going on and the security and what was it like?
Well, on our way down, as we got closer to the dome, we immediately to our left see bomb sniffing dog. Saw a couple others. It was just amped up levels of security, as you could expect. We saw a couple of SWAT team cars and all. I mean, saw 3 or 4 different cop cars. I mean, drive by. While we were next to the stadium, like it did not feel like you were going to a football. It felt like you were at some, almost like an inauguration or something like that, where it's just amped up levels of security. So it was different. It was a different feel, but still a good environment. And I'll say this: the national anthem was cool to be a part of. They had a moment of silence as well. So obviously, football is secondary after something like that happens. But yeah, I don't think I've ever seen what I saw before the game outside the stadium in terms of the security.
Given that they had to change the date, if I had wanted 2 tickets, what would it have cost me?
I heard they were going for $50, $40, $50. If you were a New Orleans resident, woke up that day yesterday wanting tickets, very cheap, which is crazy. There were some people, kicking themselves, that I talked to before the game, saying they bought theirs for $200 or $300 or whatever.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So, but it is what it is, and it was still really fun to be a part of that.
What was how many empty seats were there?
There was a decent chunk, in the that club section, I guess, club level section, the middle section. There were some empties, even down low, specifically, really on both sides. You saw some empties up top, and then they darkened it. I mean, you've been there before. It's harder to tell, and I'm sure it was hard to tell on TV too. But it was better than I anticipated, actually. The Notre Dame people were loud. It was probably 65-35. Georgia to Notre Dame fans. I mean, it sounded like a Georgia home game, but Notre Dame fans were loud too, and Georgia fans got pretty quiet and hit the exits there early, about 7-8 minutes left in the game.
Yeah, and the Notre Dame fans got louder, didn't they?
They really did. And I think Notre Dame fans, this is something they've waited for so long. Just a big signature win like this that you can hang your hat on. I saw some people say this is the biggest win since 1993. And some people go back to all the way, 88, winning the national title. So, I mean, I don't know that it's sunk in yet, really, but it was a different looking Notre Dame team, really, from the start. And yeah, Gunnar Stockton being out there helped, but I didn't think Stockton played all that bad. I thought he made some good throws, and Georgia couldn't run the football, and I think that was the bottom line for them. Notre Dame was the bully, really.
We'll get into that later. Palmer Thombs is going to join us around 3:20, and he and Billy will have a lot to say about something we have not seen in a long time, and that is Georgia get whipped at the line of scrimmage. Now, what do you got for an update?
Well, this update brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. You can find her online at mortgageladyusa.com or give her a call, 615-969-4350. We got a bowl game going on right now, North Texas and Texas State, if you didn't know, in the First Responder Bowl. No score in that one. And then later tonight, Minnesota, Virginia Tech, and the Duke's Mayo Bowl, 6:30 on ESPN. We'll see which coach gets dumped on with some mayo. I'm sure they're excited.
Is Will Levis the grand marshal of that bowl?
No, I don't think Will Levis is up there. He's busy. He's starting on Sunday, so he's got to actually prepare for a game. But no, we got the Mayo Bowl tonight, so we'll see what happens there. But also, the college football playoff will not flip the dates of the Cotton Bowl and the Orange Bowl after Greg Sankey requested to change them. With the win over Georgia, Notre Dame obviously will face Penn State next Thursday night in the Orange Bowl. And then Friday night, obviously, Texas and Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl. Sankey's concern was a potential disadvantage for Notre Dame. I'm with Sankey, but I didn't think this was going to happen. But, George, why not? I mean, I don't know. I know TV networks are locked in and, things of that nature, but this is a disadvantage for Notre Dame.
Yeah, it is, and it might be a bigger one given the fact that colleges are not used to playing 15 games in a season. This is something the pros have dealt with, and it's a real grind. And that extra day while you sit there and go, come on, they're 18 to 22-year-olds. But, yeah, I do think at this point, with the number of games these guys have played, I do think there's something there. The logistics of changing a day for people who have flights, for people who have – I mean, I get it. There's not an easy answer.
No, and it's also only one team. If Notre Dame is the team affected here, negatively. So it's not, it would just be too much, to move around, I would guess. But again, they will not flip the date. So same date and time for both those games next week. Also, speaking of wear and tear, Indiana quarterback Curtis Rourke played this entire season with a torn ACL. That was reported this morning. He'll have surgery next week ahead of the NFL draft. Obviously led Indiana to a school record 11 wins and a playoff appearance whole season on a torn ACL, and he had the fifth best QBR in the country. So, and he was in the Heisman race for a lot of it too.
I'm surprised it took this long for that to get out, given that their last game has been over a week ago. But anyway, whatever the case, that's it.
Torn ACL. I'd like to know what Pavia was playing through. Who knows? Maybe that was a torn ACL as well. But in the NFL, the Jets are interviewing Mike Vrabel today. Will have already probably completed that interview at their facility for their head coaching vacancy. He's available this week because his contract with the Browns expired on Monday. The Jets also met with Ron Rivera.
I think Vrabel asked that the contract sort of be terminated so he could get on with it. I think every team that's out there appears to want to interview him. He's going to end up somewhere. There's
a really good piece in The Athletic by Zach Rosenblatt.
I've read it.
Inside Mike Vrabel's year off. Really good piece.
Yeah, and the guys that he talks about at the corner pub, I know pretty well. And they've formed quite the friendship with Vrabel. It's pretty amazing.
Still a mainstay in Nashville, Mike Vrabel. And I started reading it, and that's in the first paragraph. That's what got me hooked to that piece. A mention of the corner pub and Mike Vrabel, and his jersey is up there, which I didn't know.
I did know.
Just like Steve McNair. So that's a good read if anybody wants to check it out there in The Athletic.
It's a really good story.
Also, lastly here, we've talked a lot about Cliff Kingsbury and his potential. I think the Bears should go get him, and maybe they do, but he did come out and say he'd like to be a head coach again, but declined to say if that meant this offseason. He said, we'll see how everything plays out, but I'm really happy here.
When did they think it meant? Come on.
That's touche.
I want to be a head coach in 4 years.
Hey, give me 3 years, and then I'll take the job.
Yeah. Are you done?
Done.
Okay, after the break, Palmer Thombs, who has covered the University of Georgia for the last 3 years, we've had him on the show several times. He will join us on his way back from New Orleans. He and Billy will share their insights next on 94.9 The Game, or The Fan, for that matter. Yeah.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, you need to call Bart Durham. And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Okay, we are back. Who knows where Palmer Thombs is? I know he's on his way back from New Orleans. He has been a University of Georgia beat writer for Dawgs HQ and On3 Sports. Billy, is he available? Because I'm seeing blanks.
He's here, audio only.
Okay. Palmer, thanks for joining us. How you doing?
I'm doing well, George. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You are coming in loud and clear.
Perfect. Yeah, we are in Atlanta, navigating our way around town as we make our way back from New Orleans today. An interesting week that was there for obvious reasons, and Georgia comes out on the wrong end of the All-State Sugar Bowl against Notre Dame, 23-10.
What was the level of shock in that locker room that they physically got the crap kicked out of them at the line of scrimmage?
Yeah, I think the surprise there certainly was surprise on the offensive line, and disappointment for the way that they played. I think defensively, you look at that game and Georgia's defense did its job. They allowed Notre Dame past midfield 3 times. Only 3 Irish plays were run from the red zone, and all 3 of those came off of turnovers. Either the second quarter fumble that led to the first half touchdown, and then the 2 kneel downs at the end of the game. So Notre Dame was not spending much time in Georgia territory, and certainly in the Georgia red zone. I think defensively, the Dogs did their job, but I think offensively, there's certainly disappointment. I think that, to a certain extent, you could look at the entire 2024 season and say that this offensive group was a little bit of a disappointment, and certainly a lot of frustrations there. And there's plenty of reasons why, and I think Georgia is diving in on those as we speak and going to spend a lot of heart-to-heart, hard conversations in this offseason.
Billy, you were there as well, so I'm going to bring you into this a little bit. Did you see Notre Dame's defensive line being able to dominate the way they did?
I really didn't. Now, I thought they could hold their own, but they lost Riley Mills in that game against Indiana. He's arguably their best defensive tackle, and Howard Cross actually in that Georgia game last night was banged up, of course, and Notre Dame's beat up. Palmer, that didn't stun me, but with how consistently Notre Dame was able to do that. And it felt like a big goal for Notre Dame was make Georgia's offense one-dimensional and make Gunnar Stockton sit back there and throw the football as opposed to allowing them to establish the run, because what Notre Dame knew was that if they could establish the run, Georgia was likely going to win the game, because Stockton had too much pressure on him, I thought. But yeah, Georgia, that it wasn't a stunner, but I was definitely surprised how consistently Notre Dame was able to beat up Georgia.
Yeah, I think you're spot on there that Notre Dame's approach was to put pressure on a young, inexperienced first-time starter in Gunnar Stockton, and said, hey, if this kid's going to beat us and he's going to be the reason why, then so be it. But we're not going to let Georgia, the physical SEC team, be that and beat us that way. And give Gunnar Stockton credit. I think he played well. I think you look at the game that he played, and he throws for 230 something yards, a touchdown, no interceptions. The turnover that he had was on a blindside hit that he really didn't have much time there for. There's certainly areas that he can improve, and I think as Georgia turns the page to 2025, they're going to want him to improve in all those areas. But Gunnar Stockton was not the problem last night for the Bulldogs.
No, he was the least of their issues. So this feels like the first time that Kirby has really had to go back to the drawing board after a 4-year run that's been really good with 2 national titles. As he tries to reconstruct this, what do you think's going through his mind?
Yeah, I think, when you look at it's going to be really hard to figure it out. It's a different age of college football, I would say, than when Georgia won its 2 national championships, obviously, and being a 12-team playoff as opposed to a 4-team playoff. NIL is a much bigger factor in these recruitments now. That was really just getting started back in 2021 and 2022 when Georgia was winning. And I'm not saying that Georgia can't win in the NIL era. They certainly have been as competitive as anybody else, and winning the SEC and doing what they did this year deserves credit. But I do think that there's got to be a reassessment of the way that Georgia is approaching things from the inside out, in terms of how they are going to continue to acquire talent. This class of 2025 that they just signed, by no means is it a bunch of slouches, but it is the lowest ranked recruiting class that Kirby Smart has signed since his first year. It comes in at the nation's number 4 class. So again, not a bunch of schmucks out there, but I do think that Georgia is going to have to figure out a way to recruit in the NIL world and recruit in the transfer portal world as well, because the teams around them and college football as a whole is changing, and Kirby Smart has got to change with it as well.
Palmer, a couple of personnel things that I want to ask about. The first being going back to the Tennessee game where Georgia utilized tight end after tight end after tight end yesterday, and I'm doing this by memory. Oscar Delp, if I remember, had 1 catch. I don't remember the tight ends being a factor at all.
Yeah, and that surprised me a little bit there. You saw them be a factor in the SEC championship game. Lawson Lucky had a spectacular catch along the sideline. Oscar Delp had made some big plays there. I was surprised by that, especially with the way that Gunnar Stockton has worked the offense in the past. I think Georgia was looking to push the ball downfield more, though. You saw that emphasis in the way that they were drawing the plays up. They attacked early with that shot down the field to Arian Smith. They had some open routes as well to Dylan Bell and Cash Jones later in the game. Georgia was really making an emphasis to push the ball downfield, which was, again, a little bit surprising with Gunnar Stockton being the quarterback. I'm with you, George. I was surprised that the tight ends weren't a bigger part of the plan. And, I think, again, give credit to Notre Dame and the physical front that they've got to be able to take those guys away. And I think that, to a certain extent, you've got to wonder how much was Georgia thinking, well, we need those extra bodies in there to protect Gunnar Stockton if our offensive line isn't going to be able to hold up the way that they hoped.
Palmer, a year ago, we all saw here what London Humphreys could do. He could fly. and he was a huge help in Vandy's offense. When he got well in the second half of the season, it looked like he was virtually no factor down there. Help me. Why was that?
Yeah, I mean, that is a question that the Georgia fans are asking and wondering about as the season comes to a close. Is the year that was for London Humphreys? I think that you look at him and I think that when Georgia took him out of the transfer portal, he wasn't a one-year guy. In the past, you've looked at a lot of guys and said, well, they are plug and play right now. They have 1 year of eligibility left. Or you expect them to be, a 3-and-out type guy, and you are taking up their junior season, their senior season before they go off to the NFL. London Humphreys was a freshman at Vanderbilt, spent 1 year in college, and was at least going to be a 2-year guy at Georgia, assuming no transfer portal and stuff. And so I think that from that perspective, the early season struggles that he had with injuries and getting healthy. That didn't help him. I think Georgia also slowly but surely cut down its receiver rotation. Now, going forward, London Humphreys is going to be a big part of this group, and they signed some talented players. They're in pursuit of some talented players in the portal. But London Humphreys, I would expect him to be a part of this Georgia receiver rotation in 2025. Absolutely.
So you would be shocked if he ended up back at Vandy.
I would be surprised. I would be surprised by that. Obviously, there are, it's 2025, the world that we live in college sports, that really nothing should be shocking. But I would say I would be surprised by that, because I do think that he certainly factors into the plans that Georgia has.
Billy, you were down there. You got better stuff than I do. Talk to Palmer.
Palmer, it's interesting. Yeah, I've certainly never been a part of a pregame feeling the way I did before that game. What was it like for you covering that? And you can't sit there and say, man, it's disappointing this game got pushed back, because it wasn't about football. This was about something awful and tragic that happened. What was that like for you covering that and talking to people around town? What were you able to gather just among that?
Yeah, I would say that sports felt secondary yesterday to a certain extent. Certainly on New Year's Day there, when it was up in the air of, are they going to play? Are they not going to play? Are they going to postpone to tomorrow? When is this game going to occur? There were much bigger, fish to fry at that point in time. And, I think that for Georgia, for Notre Dame, obviously the players were there to play a playoff game, and you talk to, the guys post game in the locker room and stuff. And they say that, it didn't affect them, not in a, insincere way of that they wish their best on the New Orleans community and the families that were affected. But, their mindset was completely locked in on football. And, I would say from a crowd perspective, I was pleasantly surprised with the turnout that was there last night. They said in the press box that they had a sellout of 60-something thousand tickets. I want to say it was 68,000, but then the actual attendance was 59,000, somewhere in that range. I think that sports felt secondary. In times like these, it's great to have a distraction from the real world, and for the folks that were there in New Orleans, likely around the country as well. I think that Georgia and Notre Dame taking the field served as a distraction and served as an escape. But I would say that it was certainly not necessarily an on. I do think there was plenty of security measures put in place. Like you said, I think understandably the game being postponed makes sense, but I would say that there was a sense of heightened awareness of everything that was going on because of what happened on New Year's night.
Well, and to the game, Carson Beck not being there, I think makes people think, probably makes some Georgia fans think after that game, what could have been? How could our offense have been different? Maybe could we have won the game against Notre Dame if Beck was there instead of Stockton? Like you said earlier, and I told George this at the top of the show, Gunnar Stockton, I thought, played as well as he could have. He was pressured all night. He ran it a little bit, and I thought he made some really nice throws as well. But is it much different, Palmer, you think? I know it's 2020, right? It's hard to say, but how different could it have been in your mind if Beck is behind center?
Yeah, you never know what could have happened if Carson Beck was out there. I do think that there are probably Georgia has shown an ability to come back, throw its way back into a football game with Carson Beck at the helm, and you probably feel better about your chances to do that with him there than Gunnar Stockton. But if you can't protect the quarterback, it doesn't matter. If you become one-dimensional, it doesn't matter. And so I think, to me, the last night's loss for Georgia falls more upon the offensive line than it does any sort of quarterback, whether that's, wishing that Carson Beck was there or Gunnar Stockton was there. And I think ultimately you look at this game and it comes down to 2 turnovers and missed tackles on a kickoff because, Georgia's first turnover, a Trevor Etienne fumble there in the first quarter, would have at least led to a field goal. There's 3 points. The second turnover, the end of first half fumble from Gunnar Stockton led to an immediate 7 points, Notre Dame's only offensive touchdown. Now you're up to 10 points. And then, of course, the opening kickoff return from a Nashville native. I did not realize that at the time, a Nashville native for Notre Dame there. The opening kickoff return, missed tackle there by somebody that is there on special teams, has made plays, but is not a defensive player. So, tackling is probably not his best asset. There's another 7 points. This is a game Georgia loses by 13 points. We're talking about 17 points that are, out there left for the Bulldogs. And so I don't put this on, you do wonder what if Carson Beck was available, but I don't put this on Gunnar Stockton. I don't put this on not having Carson Beck. I think that, Notre Dame absolutely outplayed Georgia last night. And I think that, a couple of plays here and there, and maybe we're talking about Georgia going to Miami and Notre Dame having its 2024 season come to a close.
Last thing from me, Palmer, this is one of the more interesting parts of the game. Kirby Smart, after the game, said that he thought it was illegal, the 11 on, 11 off penalty that Notre Dame drew there. And again, I think it's great coaching from Marcus Freeman. But what did you hear in regards to that? And is that an SEC rule?
Yeah, I'm really not certain. He did say that they have spoken to SEC officials, that it was something that they had carried in the past and maybe tried to run at some point, that they were told that they couldn't do it. And I'm honestly not sure. And he said he didn't get a ton of clarity. Obviously, there was a lot going on with 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter of that game. Again, I think we're talking about if that play goes differently, Georgia gets the ball back with 7:17 left, maybe they're able to mount a comeback. But ultimately, I think what lost the game for Georgia happened right around that end of first half, start of second half, as opposed to anything that happened there in the fourth quarter. And it's unfortunate if that the officials are a talking point. You never really want that to be the case. But if it is legal, great scheme and design and idea there by Marcus Freeman and that Notre Dame staff. If it's not legal, Notre Dame got away with one then.
Palmer, really appreciate you taking the time to come on with us. Drive safely around Atlanta. You should be back in Athens within 2 hours.
Appreciate it, George.
Hey, you take care. Billy, that was a little humor from me.
That was good.
If you've ever been on the route, and I have been, from Atlanta to Athens, it ain't easy.
No, there's some other jokes there that could also be made. I won't comment on those.
Thank you. Okay, after the break, think about it. We have analyzed this 12-team playoff for months, and yet we now know that something happened that we never saw coming. I'll explain it when we come back. This is 94.9, The Fan.
This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com. Are you concerned about the Medicare Part D changes for 2025? Believe me, you're not alone. You need to contact Pancos Benefits. They'll make the changes clear and easy to understand. Trust Pancos to guide you through it all. Their knowledgeable team is here to help you understand the updates and make informed decisions about your Medicare coverage. Don't navigate these changes alone. Call Pancos Benefits today at 615-292-3400 and choose option 3, or visit pancosbenefits.com. That's 615-292-3400 and choose option 3.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Here on ESPN 94.9, The Fan, and the Game Nashville Sports Network.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
We're back. Funny thing happened on the way to getting us down to our Final Four in football, and that is that all 4 of the teams that got a first-round bye are done. Oregon got boat raced in the Rose Bowl. By the time the lady finished saying, "and the home of the free and the brave," they were out. They were out before the coin toss. Georgia, they got hammered. Notre Dame beat them 23-10. Boise should never have had a bye in the first place. Don't get me wrong. Boise belonged in the tournament, but not as a 3 seed getting a first-round bye. And Penn State exposed some things in a 31-14 loss. And then there was Arizona State, who a lot of people didn't think deserved an automatic bye, but with any amount of luck, Billy, would have been the winner in that Peach Bowl game. But how crazy is it? And what's the biggest theory that makes sense about why 4 higher seeds went 0-4?
That's a good question. It really is, and I know people like to say, "Well, get rid of the buys. We don't need buys." I don't think that's the answer. I think you look at it, and you look at a Notre Dame team that got an opportunity. They hosted a first-round game. This is the 12-team playoff. It's new. I mean, in teams are dealing with a bye, and I'm acting like it's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's just new. How do you deal with an extra week here in a quarterfinal round? But for Notre Dame, you look at how they played down the stretch of the season, and really since that NIU loss compared to how Georgia played, how they looked. Notre Dame looked better than Georgia, and you could sit there and say after a game, whether it's Notre Dame beating Georgia Tech, and then Tech takes Georgia to 8 overtimes, that's a good measuring stick. So I just think with these automatic qualifiers, for these conference champions to get buys, I think it could lead to some complacency. I mean, Arizona State, you mentioned, they're kind of the outlier here. They very well could have won that game, and I thought targeting should have been called there on Michael Taff. How that affects the game, I don't know, but man, I don't know why. I mean, we seem that trends keep rolling in this tournament, and last week in the first round it was the home games, and now it's all the teams with a bye. I couldn't believe how Oregon just got run off the field. Now, I know Ohio State looks like the best team to ever step foot on a football field at the college level right now. But, man, the quarterfinal round just felt like the bye teams were a step slower, maybe, and just not on the attack is what I would say. But I don't know. It's a good question on why that trend started.
I'll admit I'm baffled because what you've got are these playoff teams playing into their 14th and 15th games of the season, unheard of on the college level. And I have believed all along that by the time this thing's over, some teams would end up being exhausted and that the first round bye would be a huge help. And instead, I'll admit I don't get this.
Me neither. And again, Boise should have never had a bye. So I think that's pretty explainable there. And boy, was that a mismatch for them, Penn State. It's just a different level of football. Arizona State, credit to them. Again, I don't think that's the same situation as Boise.
No, they look like they belong.
Yeah. And then I don't get it, though. I mean, Oregon, you're the number 1 seed. And I know the system is flawed. I know that. But Oregon was 13-0. This wasn't – Kirk Herbstreit did a nice job of pointing this out on the broadcast. He said, Ohio State's not doing this. This is different than last week with Tennessee. Tennessee, I think some people saw Ohio State manhandling Tennessee coming. Some, and we talked about it, George, saying I could see a scenario where Ohio State circles the wagons and just dumps all over Tennessee. But this is different. They did this to 13-0 Oregon. I mean, a team they had already played before in the season. And I don't know. I think you're right about the depth part of it. Ohio State right now is proving that they have the most talent in the country, but also the most depth, right? Because, I mean, they look better now in the playoffs as opposed to a Georgia where they look beat up. They lost their quarterback. Notre Dame's beat up. They're winning ugly. Ohio State's winning pretty, which that's about their depth and just how deep. I mean, they've got when Henderson's out there, you forget about Judkins. And I mean, if they win it all, George, you could argue best college football team, at least in my lifetime. I know you've seen a lot of really good college football teams, but my goodness, I mean, it's scary when they're on.
Well, I'm not yet ready to put the crown on them, and I'll tell you part of the reason why. because nobody's talking about the fact their next game is in Dallas. And if you think that's a neutral site, then I'm willing to sell you my house for about $2.5 million. You know, Dallas, Texas is, you know, couple 3-hour drive from Austin. Texas is going to have a huge home field advantage, and God knows they're going to need it. But I think they're going to have it. And so I hesitate to just say, well, it's Ohio State's to win. I'm not a big Texas person. I don't believe in Ewers particularly. I think there's some things about his game that I'm not as sold on. But I do think that Ohio State's going to have their hands full with Texas, because that's a Texas home game. You can call it what you want.
It is. And I'll say this about Ewers. He stepped up on that 4th and 13.
He did.
And made a beautiful throw, and you could say that won them the game, and they catapulted into overtime. You know,
how a receiver gets that wide open is beyond me.
Yeah, and Texas just has been doing enough. You know, but they don't overwhelm anybody. You know, they really don't have. You know, you look at their passing game; it's a lot of quick stuff. I could see Ohio State swallowing them up. But with that, like you said, George, being basically a home game on that Friday night, man, that place is going to be juiced up, and I think there's going to be a lot more burnt orange there. I'll tell you that, because, you know, I heard they already sold out their allotment. I don't know what the allotment is, but I did hear that. There'll be a lot of J.R. Ewing wannabes in town.
Well, it's a stadium that seats over 90, and so Ohio State could bring a ton of people. And by the way, they look like they brought about half the state of Ohio.
They swarmed the Rose Bowl.
God.
Yeah.
But they could bring a lot of people to Dallas and still get engulfed.
Yeah. And you wonder with these fan bases how they're thinking, you know, with this travel. I talked to a lot of Notre Dame people saying they skipped out on this trip because they knew they had a shot at winning this game, and they saved up for Miami. You know, and so it's kind of interesting looking at these fan bases. Like, what did Ohio State fans look at it and go, "Hey, we're gonna make our big trip the Rose Bowl, and then if we make the national title, we'll be in Atlanta." Yeah, I wonder what Ohio State fans are thinking there, but they travel well. I mean, they'll be there, but that's going to have an effect.
Oh, it's an expensive. I mean, I don't care how you slice it. That's $2,000 to $2,500 per person on a trip to the Rose Bowl, between flight, tickets, hotels. That's a chunk of change.
Something about these playoff games, though, I thought initially Notre Dame, Georgia would be a pretty steep ticket. Really, from the beginning, it wasn't. Not that bad of a ticket. Same thing, obviously, Tennessee, Ohio State. That was a home game, but really the top blockbuster has been Notre Dame, Indiana, and of course that was an on-campus game. Tickets haven't been all that hard to come by. Now these will probably be harder this semifinal round, but
yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see, especially with Notre Dame and Penn State. That's a lot of travel for them too, going all the way down to Miami. So it'll be interesting to see.
Okay, after the break, we'll go stat of the day. Then our buddy and former University of Tennessee basketball star Mark Griffin will make his debut. We'll talk a lot of basketball with him in the next 3 months, and we'll get it going today at 4 with Mark. Then we'll open the phones at 4:20, because a lot of you have got a lot of stuff to get out there. Stay tuned. This is 94.9 The Fan.
Where can you see a saber-toothed tiger rappel from the rafters? How about a catfish fly? The biggest stars in Music City. Not to mention hockey's hottest ticket.
The Predators win!
Only in Smashville. See your Nashville Predators all season long at Bridgestone Arena. Single game tickets are on sale now at NashvillePredators.com. Let's go, Preds!
Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday.
Convenience and value, two words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
Sometimes it's not about the home run hire, it's just about the base hit. When it comes to your head coach, just go for the base hit. Go for somebody that you know can do the job. Mike McCarthy is a proven winner across multiple franchises, being in high-profile gigs and knowing how to get the best out of the quarterbacks while they were there.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
We need to rebrand rest in 2025. We live in a rise and grind society, and when we chill, we say things like we're lazy and it's bed rot. In 2025, we're cocooning, aka we're taking a page out of the old Caterpillar's book. We're going to intentionally rest so we can emerge our best selves and let those beautiful butterflies fly.
Unsportsmanlike. Weekday mornings starting at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2.
It's Family Leisure's half off after Christmas sale.
Up to a half off on all floor models, scratch and dent, and discontinued merchandise. Floor model spas only $29.99.
Theater seating with two-piece sets starting at only $6.99.
Family Leisure has air hockey and foosball tables in stock.
Hundreds of full tables in stock for immediate delivery.
Above ground pools are on sale with 24-foot pools starting at only $29.99 installed.
Family Leisure's up to half off after Christmas sale.
At both huge locations, Antioch and Franklin.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. All around the world on the Game Nashville app. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9. The Fan. A Cromwell media station.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
SEC basketball is back. We're previewing tomorrow's full slate with Mark Griffin coming up. But first, stat of the day brought to you by Apple Collision Centers. You can find them in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. Give them a call, 615-754-9800, or log on to their website. That's applecollisioncenters.com. All right. Ohio State also, apologies, Stan. I know that was Alabama's loss. That was probably a tough day a few days ago, but they'll be back. We'll be talking more Alabama here down the road. But against Oregon, Jeremiah Smith broke Ohio State's record for most receiving yards in a game by a freshman. Whose record did he break?
Well, I guess right off the bat, Marvin Harrison would be a name that you might throw out there, but he's a Hall of Famer. Whose record did he break? Billy, my suspicion is we could be here a while. I don't know it.
You don't know it?
I don't think I know it. I don't think I know it.
Give it another shot outside of Marvin Harrison.
Nothing's coming. I'm getting a big old blank.
Well, it's Chris Carter.
Yeah. That one is pretty obvious. Shame on me.
I didn't think, because outside of Marvin Harrison, I mean, you've got, some recent ones that were really good, but I thought Carter and Harrison were kind of the top two guys there at Ohio State.
Man, did he ever have a career with the Vikings? Holy cow. Chris Carter.
By the way, those jerseys look a little bit different. See how long they come down?
Oh, yeah. Now, I mean, they might as well be wearing shorts. And I'm amazed that the officials are allowing it.
No, they're not wearing.
Honest.
There's no leg pads on any of these skill guys.
That's amazing. Okay, we done?
Yep.
We are officially into the 4:00 hour. I know that a ton of you are interested in this First Responders Bowl, and North Texas is leading Texas State, which I used to think was a prison, 14-6 early in the second quarter.
By the way, they just showed a graphic. If you're watching, Jordan McLeod, Texas State's quarterback, is 25 years old. North Texas has a quarterback who's 18 years old.
Nice. A little bit of a difference.
Nice quarterback matchup.
Okay. Joe Lunardi has got 12 teams in the Southeastern Conference projected to get in. Now, it's early to be getting to all that. Our buddy and former University of Tennessee star, Mark Griffin, with the smile, is with us. Hello, Mark.
Well, good afternoon, guys.
Whoa, hold on a second. Billy, can we turn his volume down a little?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just a little loud.
No, he's fired up to be here, George.
Yeah, he seems.
Kickoff.
Very excited. Yeah. So let's just start there. Everybody has come out and said, man, this is the best SEC that there's ever been. And I don't question that. But is it as good as people are jumping to say it is?
Well, George, if you go by the records, then yes. I looked up all the SEC teams, and the worst SEC team going into conference play record-wise was South Carolina at 10-3. Now, if you look at the history of the SEC, when has that ever happened that you've had the worst team with just 3 losses and 10 wins? Because everyone's played 13 games. Matter of fact, George, 8 teams are 11-2. I wrote this down. 4 teams are 12-1, and 3 teams are 13-0. And as you know, guys, a few years ago, the commissioner stepped up and said they wanted the SEC to step up as far as their opponents and not just play directional schools. So when you look at the pre-conference record, there's a lot of what we call quad 1 opportunities, quad 2 opportunities that are on the table. They're not just playing these mediocre teams across the country or even just around their radius of the campus. So they've really stepped up their schedule in the SEC. It's going to be a dogfight throughout this, this conference schedule that's taking place tomorrow, and I can't wait.
So let's start with one that's right in your backyard. Is Tennessee better than a year ago, even without Dalton Connect?
I think they're better defensively without Dalton Connect, and it's no disrespect to Dalton Connect at all. I think with going into the transfer portal, looking at the needs of the program, the improvement of Gainey, the improvement of Meshack, also Ziegler. One thing that Coach Barnes gets a lot of credit for and deserves, and his staff, is development of his players. And looking at Jamal Meshack when he first came in, good defensive player, couldn't shoot at all. Now he may be defensive player of the conference and maybe even the country, George. A lot of leaders on this team, and they just seem to be just really glued in together. You can look at talent and say, well, is it the most talented team overall? Maybe not. But you look at Duke, who has 3 top 10 lottery picks into 2025, how are they playing? And they're playing great right now, but, talent's one thing, playing together is another. And it does start with defense. And Tennessee's got the second best defensive team in the country besides Houston. They just got to keep it up. And it's a major challenge for this weekend, with John Calipari coming in with Kentucky South, aka Arkansas. It's going to be a big challenge for Tennessee, especially based on the depth that they have and losing Carr, injuries to, the big kid as well, Estrella. They're looking for Dubar to step it up to get more in shape. But they've got a lot of the pieces, George. And with the kid from Ensworth, Chaz Lanier, lighting it up like he is, shooting over 43 or 47% from 3-point lane. Just really playing well right now.
Okay, let's get a little closer to home in Vandy. They're 12-1, and to me, they have, under Mark Byington, confirmed what I always thought, which was this was a lazy program led by a lazy coach in Jerry Stackhouse. And this guy came in and in a month and a half blew away all that dead wood and looks like he's put a roster that's 10 deep of pretty darn good players together. Now, yeah, they don't shoot the three as well as you'd like, and they don't have the height that you would want. But Mark, in your mind, how far can they go?
Well, right now, according to the net, which is the NCAA evaluation tool, Vanderbilt's 34th. How many years ago, guys, has Vanderbilt been top 50 in the net? Not since the net's been out. So a major accomplishment first year for the head coach. As far as how far Vanderbilt can go, I still go back to Memorial Magic. If Vanderbilt can protect the home floor, make it like it was years ago, George, back when you were in school and when it was packed after you graduated. I think that they can really have a great year, and maybe the head coach is going to get looked at for SEC Coach of the Year based on the job they've done so far. I've not had a chance, George. You have to see them, but I'm really looking forward to seeing them in person. Once again, going back to gelling versus hype, and what I mean by gelling is just when guys have your back and they buy into your system, you get results. And obviously they're buying into the head coaches and the staff's leadership as far as opportunity to play together, perform at a high level. And they're doing that right now. And I hope they continue. I think it could really, really set Nashville on fire and get a couple recruiting classes in. And who knows what could happen with Vanderbilt basketball, George. I'm really excited for them.
Mark, I heard Dane Bradshaw on a telecast, and I've been using this a lot since he said it because I kind of think he's on to something. He made the comment that an SEC team could go 7-11 in conference play and get in. Do you believe that?
I don't. I think 8-10, yeah, 7-11's a stretch. But once again, George, it's going to come down. One of the factors is what I preach is this net. I've really bought in. We've gone over it a lot. We'll continue during my segments throughout the season. Is you're really going to look and see how you fare against your opponent, especially on the road. The better your opponent's net is the better the opportunity you get a quad 1 or a quad 2 win. That's what the committee looks at when they're evaluating talent. Are they looking at conference record? Yes. Could it happen? Yes. Let's say Vanderbilt, for example, since we were talking about Vanderbilt, comes in at 7-11, but their net is 50 or lower, then I think it could happen. But if you've got a 7-11 record and your net's in the 80s, I don't think you're going to make the tournament.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on that. Last thing for me, and then I'll turn it to Billy. If you had the choice of Alabama or Auburn, more likely to get to the Final Four, which of the two do you pick?
Well, that's an easy one for me, George. That's Auburn. You look, both of them have had tremendous post or pre-SEC schedule as far as their opponents. Auburn's only losses to Duke on the road. Coach Pearl's never been to Duke. But when you look at players like Jahani Broome, a difference maker, surround him with the depth that Coach Pearl has got his team to buy in, that you're going to play a few minutes at a time and you're going to be tired. I'm going to pull you and I'm going to put someone else in, but you're going to give that effort. You're going to get fewer minutes, but it's going to be at the expense of the team to do better. You're not going to see Auburn get tired. And George, I've said this before on your show, but Coach Pearl's the best at defending out of bounds ball play coming in. He's got fresh legs all the time, getting tremendous effort from his whole team. I just really like Auburn. They're not like they were before. Coach Pearl's changed his philosophy. If you recall, George, they were a 3-point shooting team, win and die based on 3 alone.
Right.
Well, when you got someone like Jahani Broome that you can go into, great mismatch across the conference. I really believe in Auburn. Now, I like Alabama as well. They're a top-tier team, no doubt. Could be a Final Four team. You may have several teams in the SEC that could be a Final Four at the end of the season. But if I was to pick between Auburn and Alabama right now, and not just because their net is a 1, I'm loving Auburn.
We're talking with former Tennessee star Mark Griffin. Billy, take it away.
Mark, it's interesting. You just talked about Alabama and Auburn and how just rolling those basketball programs are right now. And this is probably the first time in a long time that after both teams' football seasons, and even before they probably play in their bowl games, well, Auburn obviously didn't make a bowl game, but like Alabama fans, they're more excited for basketball right now. I would be willing to bet you, and maybe even a lot of the Auburn fans, just especially maybe even a lot of the Auburn fans. Have you ever seen that? And I know with you playing at Tennessee, like going back to Alabama and Auburn, I know George talks a lot about Barkley, when he was at Auburn, but has Alabama and Auburn's fan bases been this all in on basketball?
We know the answer.
Never. And the talent has been there, and that's what's amazing. You go through the history of both Auburn and Alabama basketball and the guys they put in the NBA, especially in the late 80s, early 90s for Alabama, or mid 80s with Barkley and so many more we could go over. Tremendous talent, but didn't have the following. I remember playing at both Auburn and Alabama, and you may have 50% occupancy in the stands, but yet you got 3 or 4 pros on their team that you're going against. I just think people now are really buying into all sports in the SEC, not just football. Now, football leads the way, don't get me wrong. When I visited Tennessee, I was in love with football, and that's what drew me to really follow Tennessee, like many others that have come afterwards or before. And just like other programs, Alabama's tradition in football, Auburn's tradition, it's what we do on Saturdays, is watch football growing up. So I've never seen it like it is right now. And I feel it's going to continue. Kids want to come to the SEC and play basketball. They've always had talent, and we've had good coaching. Never have they had this much talent and this great a level of coaching that I've seen in my lifetime, guys.
All right, we've talked about Tennessee, Vandy, Auburn, Alabama, a lot of the teams at the top. You've obviously got Kentucky, Arkansas right there. Who's a team that you think not a lot of people are talking about but could really make some noise? You mentioned, I think you said South Carolina was the team that's low but still has a good record. Like, who's a team like that that you still like that not a lot of people are talking about?
Well, the first one that comes to mind that people are starting to talk about is Florida. Best rebounding team in the country. As far as Walter Clayton Jr., he will be all SEC first team. difference maker. If I'm Coach Golden, I want the ball in his hands at all times. He is money and an excellent player. They surround him with a lot of great talent. They can go big, they can go small, get up and down the court. Florida's a team that's going to give a lot of teams trouble. It'll be interesting this weekend because Florida's at Kentucky. And I know we'll probably get into some of the matchups, but what a great way to start the morning and Central Time, 10 o'clock. I mean, when's that happened before, George? A 10 o'clock game Central.
We're starting to do that a lot more now.
Which is crazy. And I started thinking about that. I've never played in a 10 o'clock game, and people really don't think a lot about preparation for these kids that are playing. But now you're having to get up a couple of hours early, get to bed a couple hours early. It affects your pregame meal, your warm-up. But it happens to both teams. Fans will have to get there early. We'll turn the game on early. But what a great matchup, Florida at Kentucky. And I'm going to go ahead, George. I know we're probably not. This may not be your agenda, but I'm going to pick Florida for this game to beat Kentucky.
Are you really?
I really am. I'm that sold on Florida.
Wow.
Now, I may be wrong. I've been wrong before many times. But I'm really big on Florida beating Kentucky. If they can keep Kentucky in the 80s, it's funny. Kentucky's leading the nation in points. So if they keep them in the 80s, which is a lot, I think Florida's got a shot.
Well, we saw Florida, George. I think we watched one of those Florida games in the SEC tournament last year, and they've got a lot of the same guys back. They're long, they're athletic. They can run the floor. So I'm with you there. On Vandy LSU, this is interesting, and I was talking about this with somebody a few days ago. Both these teams, Vanderbilt and LSU, are in the first four out, I think. And again, this is early for Joe Lunardi. But do you think that could be big? I mean, head-to-head, does head-to-head matter as much in basketball? I know some of these teams play each other twice, Mark, but, I mean, I think this could be a big one looking, you look back at this game at the end of the season, if Vanderbilt did or didn't make the tournament, you could be pointing at this one.
No doubt. It's huge. And I think head-to-head will be looked at if everything comes about the same, where maybe they have similar record, their net ranking is similar. I really do think that people are going to look head-to-head, and plus a great opportunity to win on the road, which really would help Vanderbilt. It would really get their kids more excited and more confident, because it is so hard to win on the road, as you guys know. To go down to Baton Rouge, which is not an easy place. I think this is Coach McMahon. I think maybe his second season. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think so, yeah.
So, he's developing his team as far as recruiting and hoping to have a big crowd. But just a great opportunity for Vanderbilt, a good measurement early on to see how they start off, through the gate.
And Arkansas at Tennessee, Jonas Adu, you think there's going to be boos or cheers, Mark?
Well, I think there may be some boos, but I think Tennessee fans will be pretty good with, pretty nice with him, because they have really no reason to boo him for taking the opportunity that he did. So I wish Adu, I wish him well. I hope he plays well. Just as long as Tennessee wins by one, I'm happy. I think if they do boo Adu, then I'm sure that it will be more directed at Coach Cal than Adu anyway. So he's kind of a favorite person for people to boo in Knoxville, which is kind of fun. I personally don't boo people at all, but you will hear that a lot tomorrow, especially Coach Cal.
Well, and George,
I would guess, Billy, what that means is that if they boo Adu, eventually he will bid them adieu. Thank you.
Yeah, there you go. Ta-da-ta.
Well, that's the thing. Adu, he played really well against Arkansas last year at Tennessee.
Yeah,
I think he had 17 and 9. So kind of an interesting storyline there.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, he'll give Tennessee trouble, because see, Adu, what he's good at, he can step out a rare 3-point shot. If you leave him open, he'll shoot that. But he's really good at that 15-foot shot.
Yep.
So he pulls your defender, let's say it's Okporo, out to the free throw line. If he's to miss that shot, then it gives Arkansas a great opportunity for offensive rebound stick back. And I think one of the keys for tomorrow is going to be, can Tennessee block out this very athletic team? Because Arkansas's got, I believe, 3 players 6'11" or above. I know they go 6'11", 6'11", then 7'1". So it's going to be a challenge for them.
Mark, look forward to a good 3.5 months with you in the future. We'll take some phone calls for you. You are a wealth of knowledge, and we appreciate having you on the show.
Well, thanks, guys. Appreciate it, Billy, George.
Thanks, Mark.
Happy New Year to both of you guys. Looking forward to it. And I will be in Knoxville tomorrow. So
nice. Behave until then.
Oh, yeah.
Mark Griffin, former University of Tennessee star, joining us. And, man, all of a sudden these sports collide. You got football in the postseason. We're down to 4 in an SEC basketball race that could be absolutely insane based on what we have seen early. Now, we're going to open up the phone lines for the next 40 minutes, and I implore, Billy, those of you out there to get in on the lines and call in. You pick whatever it is in sports you want to get to, and let's do it. At 615-553-0933. Again, 615-553-0933. Billy, if they want to do it by way of text, how do they do such a thing?
Yeah, if you don't want to contact us via telephonic instrument, you can get into the 20s. No, I'm kidding. You can text us in the chat room on YouTube. We've got one already. And the question I've posed today, who's your pick to win it all as we head into the college football playoff semifinal? Who's your pick to win the national title? Also, basketball tomorrow in the SEC, football in the NFL, of course, whatever you want to get into. You can do that on Twitter, Facebook as well by swiping up, just typing in your question or your comment. We'd love to hear from you.
Okay, we'll go to the break. We implore you to hit those phones. In particular, if you're out there driving and you're a new caller to the show or you're a new listener, I want to hear from you. This is 94.9 The Fan.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, you need to call Bart Durham. And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun. Here's Officer Garen Hoskins for the Metro Nashville Police Department.
The Metro Nashville Police Department is on the forefront of policing in this century, and I'm glad I'm a part of it. I'm glad I get to find other good officers, other future good officers. And if you're watching today, or you yourself or someone you happen to know is interested, join MNPD.com. Feel free to reach out to us because we need good officers, and it's a great city to work for.
Are you concerned about the Medicare Part D changes for 2025? Believe me, you're not alone. You need to contact Pancoast Benefits. They'll make the changes clear and easy to understand. Trust Pancoast to guide you through it all. Their knowledgeable team is here to help you understand the updates and make informed decisions about your Medicare coverage. Don't navigate these changes alone. Call Pancoast Benefits today at 615-292-3400 and choose option 3, or visit pancoastbenefits.com. That's 615-292-3400.
3400 and choose option 3.
Convenience and value, 2 words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
Are you concerned about the Medicare Part D changes for 2025? Believe me, you're not alone. You need to contact Pancoast Benefits. They'll make the changes clear and easy to understand. Trust Pancoast to guide you through it all. Their knowledgeable team is here to help you understand the updates and make informed decisions about your Medicare coverage. Don't navigate these changes alone. Call Pancoast Benefits today at 615-292-3400 and choose option 3, or visit pancoastbenefits.com. That's 615-292-3400 and choose option 3.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Oh, yeah. Good music. As we welcome all of you back. It is officially 4:27. If you're watching us by way of podcast or listening, there's your time check. North Texas leads Texas State, which I've all along thought was a prison. You've been assigned to Texas State. 14-9 is the score, about 5 minutes left in the first half. I am looking, and I want this, somebody who is new to our show to jump in and call in a question or a comment as we try to grow this. And I love the fact that it's felt like it's growing. And as we get into the heart of all this different stuff, hopefully it'll pick up even more. Billy, let's start with a text question, then we'll go to you. Or then we'll go to the phones.
George on YouTube, Plaster, there's a key Greek athlete you need to add to your list. NFL's Fred Smerlas. He was a one-time first-team All-Pro, one-time second-team All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowler, and a member of Buffalo's Wall of Fame.
Certainly I remember him. I don't know if the name sounds Greek or not. Or am I even smart enough to know what sounds Greek and what doesn't? For you may say, Plaster doesn't sound Greek. No, it doesn't. It was changed, not for broadcast purposes, but way before I was ever born. Let's go to Eric on line 1. Eric, you're on 94.9 The Fan, and welcome.
Happy New Year, George.
Happy New Year.
Hey, George, I'm going to get to tight flash, but a couple of NFL things I wanted to talk about. First of all, I have no problem with what the Eagles are doing, resting Saquon Barkley. A lot of people says, well, want to see him go for a record, but there were some valid points made. Number one, I think the Eagles had played something like 12 straight weeks, and I think when their bye was early, and I think their bye may have been the same week as the Titans, which was early October, so I could see it. And also, if he plays, you can't play him and then play a bunch of backup players. You got to pretty much play all the starters. And there's some guys bump, bang, and bruise who could take the bye week off. And also, I'd forgotten about this, but they said in the meaningless game last year when they played the Giants, A.J. Brown got hurt. And that pretty much helped derail their playoff hopes. And also another thing that's still, and I don't know if you heard about this, I heard something from, I guess it was either Dan Graziano or Adam Schefter this morning talking about Jalen Hurts. It's not definite. Still, you don't know what's happening, but he's still suffering from the lingering effects of the concussion. And they said he's still kind of limited in practice, so hopefully he'll be ready, but you don't know. And it also going to depend on when the game is next week, because you've got, of course, 2 games on Saturday, 3 games on Sunday, and 1 game on Monday night. And if it's Green Bay and Philadelphia, my feeling is that's either going to be the Sunday night NBC game or the Monday night game, more than likely, if it is the Packers and the Eagles, because I think they're going to have that game in prime time, but we'll see about that.
So Hurts is still in protocol, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's now every
that's what I
case.
understand.
Yeah, every case is different, but this feels like this is really taking some time.
Yeah. George, also what I wanted to talk about, George, is the Sunday night game, Minnesota-Detroit. That's going to be a heck of a game. I think for Detroit to win, they're probably going to have to outscore Minnesota. It's interesting. They're undefeated on the road. They're 2 losses at home. But I definitely think they need the home playoff game more than Minnesota does. I think offensively, Detroit's offense is better, but their defense is so banged up. And Minnesota, who everybody thought was going to be last place in that division, winds up with the best record in the NFC and host all that. But the bad part about it is somebody's going to be 14-3, be the 5th seed, have to play all the games on the road, which is unfortunate. And George, last on Titans.
Yeah, go ahead.
George, last on the Titans. I'm sure you've got your bobblehead. I got my bobblehead in the mail today. Delaney Walker from Tennessee's taking on for the Titans. I plan to go to the game Sunday, George, but I don't know with the weather being what it is. I don't know if I'm going to get to go or not. But George, as far as the coaches go next year, just why don't you get your thought on the one coach that everybody's been talking about, and that's Colt Anderson. A lot of people think now he might be safe because special teams has played better the last few weeks, but I still think if there's a coach that's got to go, I would say it's definitely him. I don't know how he can be saved, but it's just going to be interesting what happens. Just get your thoughts on that. George, is always good to talk to you. Take care. We'll talk to you again soon.
Hey, Eric, thank you. By the way, in the letter that or the postcard that Amy Strunk sent out to all of us who are season ticket holders, I found this kind of amusing. For more than 2 decades, our fans have become our family. Really? Screw that.
You don't want to be a part of that family?
We're your family as long as you can charge us out the you-know-what in the new stadium. That's family? Really? I had a friend of mine who told me that his parents' tickets that they had bought during when they first came to town, that they visited Titan House recently, and I guess they had 6 of these, $95,000 in PSL money. They got a big thank you. It's a ripoff. It's a complete and total ripoff. Okay, so Detroit needs the first round bye desperately. Supposedly, they will get Alex. God, I hope I say it. Is it Anzalone? Anzalone. Why can I not say that? Supposedly, they get him back maybe this week, which would help them. But what I saw Sunday night, they've got to have the bye and hope that a couple more get healthy.
Eric's right about that division. I mean,
it's crazy.
Somebody's going to finish 14-3 and have to go on the road. So that's a big game.
Absolutely nuts, but fun nuts. Okay, that leaves a line open at 615-553-0933. I am looking for somebody new who maybe has just found the show in the last few weeks to call in and be a new caller. Clay, line 2, welcome into 94.9.
Happy New Year, George.
Happy New Year to you.
Billy, how you doing?
Good, Kelly. Good, Clay. How you doing?
By the way, is Kelly AWOL today? Is he's not president accounted for?
He's not on today.
Not on Fridays.
Well, he's not on to get all over Billy today. Where are you, Hoss?
Wow.
I will say Fridays.
You better be careful because you call him out, he'll fire right back at you.
That Arizona State Texas game was crazy. Being a Vanderbilt fan, obviously I'm an SEC guy. I was glad in the end that Texas won, but I have to admit, at the end with the great comeback that Arizona State made, just play Scadaboo made, and the amazing player he is, I found myself almost rooting for Arizona State. And quite frankly, I think they deserve to win. But so Texas marches on. But I think it's interesting. The top 4 teams that all received byes all lost.
Yeah, that is hard to figure. I don't think any of us would have predicted that going into this second round. But I guess that's the beauty of it, is that's why they make you play the games.
Ohio State seems to be, in the words of Poggi, they seem to have the red booty factor. All the talk about Ryan Day's job because of not being able to beat Michigan, leading into the Tennessee game, things like that. They quite frankly just come out and kick Tennessee's butt. And let's see, who they played the second game. They played
Oregon.
I'm drawing a blank.
Oregon.
Yeah. I mean, the Rose Bowl was over early second quarter. So I would think they would have to be considered the favorite right now, wouldn't y'all?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, with the one little asterisk that playing Texas and Dallas is anything but neutral site. Texas will probably have 60,000 of those 90,000 in there. That's got to help them some. How much? Don't know.
George, that game will be played at, the home of one of my favorite people in the world. You know what a fan of Jerry Jones I am, don't you?
Yes, and I know that he's invited you to sit in his suite. Apparently not.
Anyway, y'all have a great weekend, okay? Thanks for taking my call.
See you,
Clay, have a good one.
All right.
Jerry World.
Jerry's World.
Have you been there?
I've never been to Jerry's World.
I've been on the outside of it, and it is a monster.
Monstrosity.
Ooh, I mean, it is big. Let's go Frank in Smyrna. Frank, are you in Smyrna?
No, sir.
I didn't think so.
Not. No,
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, and Billy, Happy New Year to you as well. From Siesta Key, Florida. I would say what the current temperature is, but you'll probably hang up on me, so never mind.
What is the correct temperature?
It's actually 65 degrees here.
Oh my God! I mean, you've got to get out the heating pad.
I'll say this: in New Orleans, it was similar. I mean, sunny, no cloud in the sky. It felt like early summer day. It was weird.
George, there's people down here wearing polar bear coats and outfits. Some of these people down here think the end of the world is coming when it gets below 70 degrees here. I mean, I just laugh at them, but I mean, it's not ideal boat and beach weather, but you know what? It beats 30 and 40 degrees or below freezing temperatures any day.
Believe me, I watched the Weather Channel earlier today, and they're really into showing us where the dividing line is between the rain and the snow, which looks like, according to them, right on the Kentucky-Tennessee border. But here's what I want to tell people. They don't know. I don't know. They don't know.
I got to thinking about this. I've been a Titans PSL and season ticket holder from day one. That's probably my time for that is soon to be ending, like most others, I think. But I got to thinking about Sunday's game in Nashville. Okay, it's a completely meaningless game. I mean, Houston, there is no way they're going to play any of their starters. They're out of their minds. D'Amico Ryans ought to be fired immediately if they play their starters Sunday. The weather in Nashville, they're talking I don't recall a game ever played in freezing rain and sleet and snow in Nashville, a tight game. Do you?
Well,
not right off the bat. No,
I don't either. I've been there in the rain. I've been there in somewhat cold. I admittedly sat that one out 2 years ago when the game time temperature was 7 degrees.
I remember that.
I do not have the cold weather gear in my possession to survive that kind of cold. But I just wonder, Sunday, the Titans, as a goodwill gesture, should just close the upper deck Sunday and say, everybody sit downstairs, find an open seat. If the owner of the seat comes, wish him a happy new year and get up and find another one. There won't be 20,000 there. So I bet they don't even get that. I bet they don't get 10,000 Sunday.
Well, I guess a lot of it depends on when the precip gets here. If you listen to the Weather Channel, it's the storm of the century.
It always.
I know it's the same thing. And
God,
I know it's the same thing. And then I look on my News 2 weather app, and Davis Nolan doesn't quite paint as bleak a picture. So, hopefully it's everything. Well, hopefully it's just rain in Nashville. Let's just be honest here. Nashville doesn't need any more snow. They've proven time and time again they can't handle it. But
I'm one of those that can't handle it.
Well, I'm one that if it's below 50, it's too cold for me. That's why I'm in Florida right now. Almost went to the ReliaQuest Bowl the other day. It's not like you couldn't get a ticket. There was
I believe that
I could see in that game whatsoever. I was still dried out for the Birmingham Bowl. That's part of why I watched the game on my phone instead. But what I really called to talk about, Mr. Scattaboo for Arizona State. What are the NFL scouts, or is anybody talking about this guy as far as the next level? Where's he projected to be drafted? Is he a running back? He kind of reminds me of a Frank Wycheck type player in a way. And I'm like, or a Mike Allstott. Have you guys heard anything at all?
Well,
about this guy?
Yeah, first of all, there's no doubt about his talent. I had a friend of mine tell me he's John Riggins Jr., and he might be right. Here's the thing. Supposedly, his teammates, it's a mixed bag. And supposedly the coaching staff told him before the season started to cool it that his attitude was not helping that team. I noticed early in the game that he was all over his teammates about their lack of blocking. And Billy, I do think that's going to come up at the combine. There's no doubt about his talent. The mental makeup, not as sure.
Yeah, he's ranked as the 8th best running back according to CBS Sports and their draft rankings for whatever that's worth. So, and that's far behind Genty and Judkins there at the top and Henderson. So he is a different style, but I wonder if an NFL team takes a flyer on him and says, hey, come play flex running back, tight end, fullback for us and do some things that because he ran a route that looked like he could play receiver. There on the outside too, like Frank said. So I'm with you, Frank.
He's a big old boy.
Yeah.
Hey, Frank, I got to run. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. You guys stay warm up there.
Okay, we'll go to the break on that and then take more. What do you got, Billy?
Got some breaking news.
Breaking news. With
Orioles.
No sounder.
Yeah, no sounder. The Orioles and Charlie Morton have agreed to a 1-year, $15 million deal. Former Brave.
15 mil.
Yeah.
Can you say overpay?
Yeah, I didn't know if he'd even be playing. I thought there was a shot he hangs it up.
I think we now know he's not. We'll go to the break. This is 94.9 The Fan. This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler. Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Sports Network. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Okay, we're going to try to get to as many of you as we can in a short amount of time. Dave in Nashville, you're on 94.9 The Fan.
Yeah, I want to ask Billy something.
Shoot.
What's up, Dave?
Does Notre Dame match up with Penn State, or what's the story on it?
Yeah, they're playing Penn State on Thursday night in Miami.
Well, now that didn't
winning pretty good.
I'm sorry?
Can they beat Penn State?
Absolutely. They open up as a 1.5 point favorite, so it's tight. But I think they absolutely can beat Penn State.
If you can get the tight end under control, I think you got a heck of a shot.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Dave, thank you. Tony in Nolensville, welcome.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Good talking to y'all, and Happy New Year, George and Billy.
Happy New Year to you as
you
well.
a hard time about your Notre Dame team being not playing nobody, but buddy, I've got to hand it to you, tip my hat to you. They have come and whipped some butts in this playoff, and they've been fun to watch, to be truthful. And I tell you what, also is they've got all three phases of the game working for them. Y'all agree with that, don't you?
Right now, they sure do.
I mean, it's been fun to watch. I just put it that way. So, as far as what they did with Georgia, I just thought they took them apart. They definitely out-physicaled them. They were the more dominant team. They whipped their butts up at the line of scrimmage, and like I say, I just think they've got all three phases going. George, I read something over the weekend that was pretty amazing to me, Billy. It's Caitlin Clark, guys. Last year, she was solely responsible. They did the WNBA, and I forgot what news group it was, talked to a guy named Dr. Ryan Brewer, a extremely well-known sports figure individual. And he's been in courtrooms testifying and all that stuff, and he's an expert on giving somebody, putting a net worth on people. And Caitlin Clark was solely responsible for 26% of the WNBA merchandise sales, tickets, viewership, and everything. It's never been done in the history of the WNBA. And they were talking about her net worth, what she did for the city, who she plays for, and the state. They said they can't even put a figure on her right now, what she has meant to women's sports. It's unbelievable.
That's tremendous.
Unbelievable.
Well, you saw it in the gate as well. I mean, everywhere she went, they drew like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sales were up 300%, 500%.
Yeah.
I mean, the viewership was up 100 and something percent on WNBA. So, but it was really something on that. George, with the baseball season concluding and a new one coming up, where do you see your Braves, and what do you anticipate the Dodgers going to do? Wanted to ask you that question and see what you think. I'm going to let you go and get to somebody else. Guys, have a great weekend.
The Dodgers today signed Hassan Kim, formerly of the Padres, 3 years. I think it was $12.5 million total, which, based on the Dodger payroll, is a bargain.
Yeah.
Braves, you keep waiting to see some trade that gets them some of the pieces they need. They're either slow this year, waiting for the bargains, or it's not going to happen at all. I don't know. I'm confused.
Yeah, I saw some Twitter rumors that something big was going to happen a couple of days ago, but didn't see anything.
Doesn't look like it.
No.
Spence in Nashville. Spence, I got about 2 minutes.
George, it's been a while. Glad I found you again.
Hey, thank you.
You know, I may be mistaken. You can refresh my memory. A couple of years or so ago on another station, maybe you had a guest that was a former commissioner. He was talking about the expanded college football playoffs, said that what we were going to get was a bunch of poor games because there's only 2 or 3 teams that's really capable of winning that championship. I don't remember that guy's name, but he's pretty well spot on. Other than the Texas-Arizona State game, it was a good game. The rest of them been kind of stinkers.
Yep.
Don't you think?
Yeah, but that said, man, I like this playoff system. And
It's
I think
awesome.
most people do.
Well, if I had playoff money and I was going to follow a team after seeing what I've seen this year, if you don't get home field, I'll save my money to go to the bowl game if they advance. Because first round teams, they just went in the tank.
Oh, listen, it was crazy. Crazy.
Yeah.
But look, I think we've got 4 really good teams. You know, the Texas, everybody's jumped to say Ohio State's going to win it all, and they might. They're really hot right now, but Dallas, Arlington, I guess, doesn't feel like a neutral site next Friday.
And just think, last year, Ohio State and Oregon would not be one of these last 4 teams. It would be Ohio State and Notre Dame. Sorry, Oregon would be. But you look at the top 4, you know, if that's what it was going to be, Notre Dame doesn't get a shot, and Ohio State also doesn't get a shot. So I think you play for it. You play to see who the best is. I think fans like that.
Spence, give it a chance. This is going to work.
But I kind of doubt it. But it could happen. George, y'all have a great weekend. I'll check back in.
Tell 1,000 of your closest friends we're out there.
Both of them anyway. See you, George.
Appreciate it. Billy, let's go right to the bets for the weekend. Plaster bet of the day.
Oh, yes, because we've got quite a few. It's brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. Best in the business. We'll take a look real quick at what has happened. I know it feels like we haven't done a show in a while, but the last result there, of course, George took Georgia -1, and that didn't work out for him.
Wow. So we just gloss over the 4 victories?
No, you do have 4 victories there.
Yeah.
Which is pretty impressive.
So at the moment, I am 20 games over 500 in a segment that we should call How Great Thou Art.
Have you gone perfect on a weekend slate ever?
Probably not. Not during football season.
If you would have just taken the Irish first, would have been the first perfect weekend.
Move on, Billy. Let's start with tonight. This seems like a lot of points. I've been wrong on Minnesota a bunch this year, and it feels like I might be wrong again, but I'm taking Virginia Tech +9 in the bowl game in Charlotte. Is it the Mayo Bowl?
The Duke's Mayo Bowl.
Yeah.
Brought to you by Will Levis.
Yeah, apparently so. Okay, so that's the college game. Tomorrow night, in a game that means a lot, I'm jumping on everybody's bandwagon with Cincinnati and an offense that all of a sudden has become really, really tough against a Pittsburgh team that is really struggling. Russell Wilson got off to a great start as the Steelers quarterback, but boy, in recent weeks, it has not been pretty. I'm going to take the Bengals -2.5. This is a weekend in the NFL that will feel a little bit like betting preseason. So you got to be careful and bet games where there's something on the line. Miami, still alive, barely. Doesn't look like Tua's going to play. And so the line at JETS is only 1. Billy, write it down because it's going to make you money. I'm taking the Dolphins. Here's a 2-team teaser for you coming up next. I'm taking Denver -4.5 at home against a Chiefs team that is going to rest a lot of the regulars, and I'm taking Atlanta at home -3 against Carolina. That's a 2-team teaser. And finally, Sunday night, in a game that could have an over-under of about 80, I'm taking the Lions -2.5. They need this victory worse.
Have you gotten better at these?
What do you mean?
I mean, I gotta admit, I'd like to look at the last 20 or 30 or so games that you've bet on here.
I've been on a roll.
It's not that bad.
No, it really.
I think that's why Kelly gets mad every time this segment comes on.
Well,
he has nothing to say.
We probably need to take the record off and start a new year so Kelly will feel better. There it is, 126 and 106. Kelly will rejoin us on Monday. We'll look at the Titans finale against the Texans, which may well be played in really bad weather. And that may limit a crowd that was going to be limited to begin with. Anyway, we're out of here. Happy New Year. Happy 2025. This is 94.9, The Fan.